Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Katie, and today we are talking about all the gooey moments, all the fuzzy moments, all the give you the tingle moments, you know, the head over heels, the books that just make you fall in love with love. We're talking about my favorite romances of the year. Now look, I am an expert when it comes to love.
Somebody lied to her several times.
I watch it, I read it. That's about as far as my expertise goes. But I know good love scenes, good love books when I see it, when I read it. And this year, I read some good ones, okay? My last video, I did all my favorite thrillers, so if you missed that, I will link it up here for you guys to go watch it. This one, however, is all about the books that made me just, you know, the ones that make you fall in love with ones, the ones that make you swoon, the ones that makes you hot and heavy, the ones that just do what, you know, it needs done in certain times, okay? So we're gonna go over my top, I think there's 10 books. They're not in order because I cannot choose. Do not make me choose. I will never rank my books. You can't make me. So we're not gonna. But I am warm and cozy because I was like, what else is there to do but love? Think of love, you think warm, cozy. It's what we're doing. Unless you're a sadist, in which case you don't think warm and you just, you know, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, let's just get into the books that just did it for me this year. Okay, the first book I want to talk about is none other than Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I loved this book. This book is an age gap, I guess it's forbidden romance, technically. This is the boyfriend's father trope, but this is more like an ex-boyfriend's father trope. This story is about Jordan and Pike. Pike is Jordan's boyfriend's father. Jordan and her boyfriend live together, but he's kind of a deadbeat and doesn't really do anything, so he can't contribute to the bills, which means they have to move out of the house. So they move in with his father, named Pike. Pike is a younger dad. I think he's like 36, 38, and Jordan is 18, turning 19. So the age gap is there, but it's not like a huge age gap. But what sold me? Oh, and if you're worried about like the boyfriend's father thing, it's fine because like technically they're broken up before anything happens. This is a slow burn, honey. So just be prepared. Nothing happens in like the first 220 pages. However, the angst in this book, the longing, the tenseness of this book is what did it for me, okay?
Ooh.
This was my first Penelope Douglas read. It will not be my last Penelope Douglas read. I am so looking forward to reading her backlist next year. It's not even funny. But this book, those scenes, oh my Lanta, the smutty scenes are fabulous, okay, honey? Fabulous. And just, I don't know, the angst in this book, that's what sold me. The longing, the sexual tension, it was all there, and I'm living, okay? I am living for this book. 5 out of 5. Most of these books were 5 out of 5, so don't even ask. But if you want to get into like the age gap category, I would start with this book because it was just amazing. The next 2 books I want to talk about are none other than, I feel like the queen this year, Miss Colleen Hoover.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend. And she is the moment. Now, come on now.
She blew up thanks to Book Talk. I'm pretty sure her books became like bestsellers again after being out for years. She's doing the thing, okay? More power to her. But the first book that I want to talk about is It Ends With Us. And this book ended me. It ended me. Okay?
I feel very attacked.
Trigger warning for this book with domestic violence. If that is something that you have trouble reading or are sensitive to, be warned that this is kind of what that book entails. And I won't even consider it like this is a romance, but it's like not a romance, because there is a romance, but it's so much more than that. So I put it in this category, but it's so much more than that. But you're following Lily, and Lily meets a man named Ryle on the rooftop of her apartment, his apartment. I don't know why she's at the rooftop, in all honesty. I can't remember. Was she at a party? I don't know. But they meet, and they have like this instant connection. She tells him, hey, you know, like, it's one of those nights where you just tell like a stranger your whole story and like what you want to do with your life. And she's like, yeah, I want to start like a flower shop, which is so cute because her name's Lily. Like, anyway. So like 6 months go by or something like that, and she does it. She like opens up her shop, and then she meets him again, and because I'm pretty sure he's brother and sister with the girl. He's brother and sister. He's the brother of the girl who comes and works for her at the flower shop. There we go. That's what it is. So they get in a relationship, and we also get dual timelines in this book. We get Lily now, and we get Lily back when she was like 15, and she was living with her family, obviously, and her father was abusive to her mother, and the only person that she could really turn to was her best friend named Atlas, who is a sweetheart, Atlas just is everything that the world needs. He's just everything the world needs. And just their friendship was so amazing. But honestly, just read this book. It'll break you. It'll make you feel things you didn't know existed. It's just an amazing book, and I highly suggest that everyone read this book. And the next book I want to talk about is also from Colleen Hoover, because I am now a fan. I am a stan. I am too old to say stan. That makes me feel old, so we're just going to say fan. But the next book is November 9, and this book was pleasant. Like, I love this book as well. Like, I don't know if she writes books I don't like. That's the problem now. But this book follows Ben and Fallon. Fallon is at a restaurant with her dad, and they're arguing. So Ben comes over and pretends to be her boyfriend. They've never met before, but he does it anyway because that's just who he is. They spend like the rest of the night together talking, and they have this instant chemistry. Oh, but wait. We can't get together because Fallon is moving across the country to New York City the following day. So what are we gonna do? Well, they decide that for the next 5 years, they're gonna meet once a year on November 9, the day they met, and just kind of pick up where things left off from the year before. They do have rules. They cannot know each other's last name. They cannot know their phone numbers. They cannot look on their social media. It has to be just like this clean slate during the year until they meet on November 9 each year. I really enjoyed this book. It was really good. There is a twist in it, which I kind of feel like Colleen Hoover loves to do these twists. However, I don't think there was one, and it ends with us. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think there was. But this twist, I knew it was coming. I envisioned it. I kind of thought that it was what it was going to be, although I just didn't know the context of why it happened. So that I enjoyed, because I did not know why the twist happened, but I knew the twist a little bit, if that makes sense. But still, highly suggest reading this one as well. The next book I want to talk about is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This is the first book in her Hot and Hammered series, and it left me hot and hammered. Anyway, this book follows Georgie, and Georgie is a clown.
Hiya, Georgie.
I'm it's not a metaphor. I mean, she's a literal just clown. That's what she does for a living. She does kids' birthday parties. And that's just kind of how her family sees her, as the youngest in the family. She's just one that they don't really take seriously. Just kind of like the clown. So we follow her, and we follow Travis. Travis is Georgie's brother's best friend, who she's had a crush on for years, and he is an ex-baseball player who got injured in the game, so he can't play anymore, and he moves back to his hometown. Well, Georgie comes over one day to see how he's doing, and he's a mess. He's just a god-awful mess, and she lets him know. She's like, dude, you're a mess. And he's like, you're rude. And she's like, well, I'm just speaking the truth. Well, turns out they need something from each other. Don't we all? So Georgie needs someone in her life to make her family kind of like see her differently as not just being like the youngest child anymore. And Travis is up for a new job. However, to get this job, he needs to prove to his potential bosses that he's a family man because he is known for being a player on and off the field. So what do we do in that situation, folks? We fake date. We fake date. So you got your fake dating trope and your brother's best friend trope in this book. And Tessa Bailey does steamy scenes. Mwah, perfection. They're great. So yeah, I really don't know what else to say other than that, but like this book is the first in the series and there are 2 more in the series, which I definitely plan on reading. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is It Happened One Summer, also by Tessa Bailey. If you're a fan of Schitt's Creek, if you are a fan of Alexis from Schitt's Creek.
I'm a Lamborghini. I'm a Hollywood star. I'm a little bit tipsy when I drive my car.
You'll like this book because that's definitely what it's inspired by. I had never watched Schitt's Creek before this book, but I did, and then I read the book and I could totally see the thing. I see the resemblance. But this book is about Piper, and she is a socialite who is just getting into trouble. She's just getting into trouble. So her stepdad is like, you know what, I've been keeping something from you. Your dad left you and your sister a bar in his hometown, and you know, you're going for the summer. You need to cool off and you need to go for the summer. So that's what she does. She goes to this small fisherman's town. I think it's supposed to be near Seattle. It's like in Washington. And she goes, and of course when she goes, she's prim, proper, got her heels on, all this. Enter Mr. Grumpy. So yeah, this is a grumpy sunshine. And this is also an enemies to lovers, but like a minuscule enemies to lovers, because they are enemies for like a second, okay? For a second. And then they get together. So like, just keep that in mind. But Brandon is I think he's a king crab fisherman captain of a boat. So like, he's well off. He's, you know, he's done well for himself. And he sees this girl and he's like, no, ma'am. No.
No, ma'am.
She's not going to last.
No, ma'am.
She's not going to last here at all. Well, she lasts. Okay, she lasts and he falls hard. Okay, just know he falls hard. And it's also Tessa Bailey, so you know you're getting the steam with this book as well. And it's just, look, I love Tessa Bailey now. Like, I am a fan of her. The steam in her books makes me so happy. It just makes me happy. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The next book I want to talk about is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the first in the Brown Sisters trilogy. You are following Chloe, who suffers from a chronic illness called fibromyalgia, and one day she gets into like this accident, or it's an almost accident, and her life flashes before her eyes, and she's like, holy crap, I've done nothing with my life, what am I doing? So she does this bucket list of things that she wants to do for her life, and there's stuff like ride a motorcycle, have her own place, go camping? I'm pretty sure there was like 7 or 8 things on there. And so that's what she starts doing. She moves out, and the super of the apartment building that she's living at, his name is Redford. And this is kind of like an enemies to lovers, or is it more friends to lovers? I think it's enemy, you know, they get together, they're going to be lovers. Like, this one's a little tricky for me, but I'm pretty sure it's enemies to lovers. Because they kind of don't like each other at first, and then they do like each other. But I appreciated this book because Red had his own stuff going on in this book. So it wasn't just like her stuff that was going on. It was also him, and he was dealing with some stuff too. And they had to, you know, work through that together. And I appreciated that in this book. The next book is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. This is the first in the new Meant to Be series. This is where different authors take our beloved Disney stories and bring them into the times, pretty much. This one is following Cindy. So yes, this is the first book is Cinderella retelling, but we're following Cindy, who is just graduated from like shoe design school. So I mean, if that's just perfect. Honestly, that's perfect. She is going home to be with her stepmom and stepsisters, and on the way home, she meets this guy on an airplane, and there's chemistry and it's great, but she's like, well, I'm never going to see him again, so it doesn't really matter. She goes home to her stepmom, who is a producer on a dating show a la The Bachelor, and it's called Before Midnight. Get it? With all the puns. This is too punny. It's just too punny for me. Okay. And in this book, what I appreciated most is that her stepmom and her stepsisters, like, love her. They are not mean to her.
After all, we did make a bargain, and I never go back on my word.
There's none of that. I love that. If you redid Cinderella like that, I would really appreciate that. Like, cause you know, I like me a good like mean boss lady sometimes, or she's just mean and but sometimes, you know, you like a stepmom who's nice, and in this book, she's nice. So she is the producer of Before Midnight. Something happens where they have an opening. Cindy goes in the person's place, and guess who the bachelor is? It's the man from the airplane. That's right. And so it kind of just goes from there, and it turns out she's like a phenomenon on the show because she is plus sized, and everyone in the nation's like, yes, we love Cindy. And it's just a cute little romance. There is no steam, don't worry. It's PG. It's G for all I know. Yeah. But you know, sometimes you want a wham bam thank you ma'am. And sometimes you want just a sweet, nice, you know, romance. And that's what this one is. The next book I want to talk about is Layla from Colleen Hoover. Again, I told you it was the year of Colleen Hoover for me. But this is a paranormal romance, and you're following Layla and Leeds. They are a couple who's kind of been going through some stuff. Their relationship isn't where he would like it to be. There's been some trauma that's happened, and so he decides to take her back to the B&B where they first met. And when they get there, they discover they're not really alone. And that's all I'm going to say. The twist in this was so freaking weird, but so good. Like, I absolutely loved the twist in this. So you gotta read it. You have to give it a chance. It's just, it was fantastic. This book was so good. The next book I want to talk about is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This was my second Christina Lauren book that I read, and I really enjoyed it. It's like a friends to lovers. They kind of knew each other in college, and she's like the blatant in your face character who will say what she wants to say when she wants to say it. She doesn't really care. And we love that. We love the confidence here on this channel. We absolutely do. And he's, you know, more laid back, kind of like, girl, get yourself. And so time passes and they don't see each other well until like a barbecue years later. And her best friend, Josh just happens to be the brother. So that's how they meet, and they start talking, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna hook you up on a date. And he's like, well, you know what, I'm gonna do the same. So they hook each other up on dates, and they go on them together. So it's like a double blind date, and they never end well. The dates always end with them getting back together at night and like hashing out like how the date went and everything, because just so happens her house gets flooded. I'm pretty sure it gets flooded and she needs a place to stay. So yeah, it's Josh. He's got a big house, so she stays there as they're dating all these other people. It's fantastic. It's cute. The steam is, on a scale from like nothing to like Katie Robert, if you catch my drift. Like here, it's like PG-13. That's how I would say. It's like PG-13. It's not, you know, it's not bad, but it's not like nothing. But it's good. I loved Hazel in this book because you just want her confidence. And then the last book that I want to talk about is Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. This is her novella that she just came out with for Christmas. Look, this is a reverse sunshine, grumpy relationship, and it was so good. Like, I didn't think I would like a novella because I'm like, okay, well, how can the story kind of go and like finish when it's so short? But it finished several times. That's besides the point. You nasty. You guys are just nasty. Anyway, this is following Stella and Aiden. Stella just got out of prison and she's walking the streets of New York City, and she comes across the department store that she's always wanted to like do the windows for, and she's like, good God, this window is terrible. And this guy comes by and he's like, so what do you think of the window? And she's like, honestly, it sucks. That's just how it is. It sucks. And he's like, oh, well, you think you could do any better? And she's like, well, this is what I would do. And he's like, well, you should apply for a job here. They're looking for a window dresser. And she's like, yeah, I don't think so. So she goes home and she applies anyway. And turns out the guy that was asking her about the window was the owner, Aiden. And when I say he's sunshine in a man, he's sunshine in a man. He wears Christmas bow ties. He's got the Christmas spirit coming out the wazoo. Like, it's amazing, but you haven't heard the amazingness yet. He is like Santa Claus in the streets, and he's like Krampus in the sheets. Okay, like, this boy's mouth needs orbit. Like, he needs to clean it up. I am blushing, and I just, like, honestly, I was like, Aiden, stop, but like, don't stop. But yeah, so just know going in, this is steamy. Okay, this is very steamy because it's Tessa Bailey, but it's like 40 pages. It was short, it was to the point. I loved it. Give yourself a little treat on Christmas and like read that book. But those are my romances for the year. Well, I guess my top 10 favorite romances of the year. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below, what are some favorite romances of yours? Tell me what you read this year. I want to know. And give me some recs for next year, because I definitely, like I said, I'm going into Penelope Douglas's backlog and reading so many of hers, and probably some more Colleen Hoover as well. But there's so many coming out that I just don't know. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new and would like to see more of my videos. And my social media is linked down below as always. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. What can I say? Like, what can I say about this book? What can I say about this book, dummy? We don't get dual perspective. We get dual timelines. We get dual timelines, Katie. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm trying to talk. They meet, you know, after they spent... Oh, no, they don't. What did they do? It's been so long since I read the book. Okay, the next book that I read was... This is real... No, I didn't read it next. I just... I'm fine. I don't need help at all. I'm fine. Okay. Like, what's the word? What is he? He's not a landlord. Superintendent? He's a superintendent. Is he super the super of the part? The next book is Josh and Gazel. Who the frick's Gazel? Brilliant.